And now we talk about the third of the 8 freedoms, being able to practice the Dharma as we are not born in the animal realm. And these realms, they come about due to our cause and effect, how we've lived our life in the past, due to our past, this life and our previous lives. So in our previous lives, we created or generated a lot of negative karma. Then what happens is there may come that we are reborn in this realm. And how does this realm come about? It comes about due to the fact that these karmic seeds that are planted, that have been left in our mind stream, then give the appearance of this physical form. Like, for instance, we gave the example of somebody who is schizophrenic. Maybe they visualize a whole different world or experience a different world to us. And why does this appear to them? Is due to the state of their mind. So now the animals. The animals, we often think, to be born as an animal, how nice it is to be born as an animal. What do we usually look at? We look at the animals in the wild and we think that they have a great life, or we look at our pets, maybe our dog or our cat, and we think, oh, it's a dog's life or it's a cat's life. However, they don't have that much freedom. If you look at the animals, they experience a lot of suffering. If you just look on the road, how many animals do you see being squashed or flying into the windscreen? Imagine their suffering when that happens. And they really don't have much choice because of their ignorance. They're not able to move out of the way, or they don't have the wisdom to know that by traveling on the road or flying near the cars is going to cause them suffering. And there's a lot of suffering as well for all of these animals that are slaughtered. If you think how many cows are slaughtered, how many goats, sheep, fish are slaughtered, chickens are slaughtered, and you think of their suffering. The other day, there was somebody telling me that they were walking along the road and they heard the screaming, and then they saw this person with a goat, and they were wondering, was it the goat screaming or is it the person that is screaming? And when they got closer, they saw it was the goat screaming. And why was the goat screaming? It's because the goat knew that this person was taking them to the slaughter. And already it was crying out like that. It didn't want to go. So these animals know that they are going to be slaughtered. Have you ever heard a pig, when it is taken to be slaughtered, how it screams, how it cries? Imagine those poor animals lined up to be slaughtered. Imagine, how would you feel if you were in a queue? You can sense that there's something ominous in front. You can maybe hear the screams of the other animals, and behind you somebody is pushing you forward with an electronic probe or something that shocks them or something that hurts you to keep you moving forward. It must be terrible, terrible suffering. And not only that, look at these chickens as well. Look at these poor chickens, how they suffer. In some places they're free range, but in many places they're put in a little cage. All they do and all they're worth is for laying eggs. And so because they are stuck in this little cage, they can't move, what do? They hurt each other. Sometimes they hurt the other chicken, sometimes they hurt themselves, they bite themselves. So what happens is their beak gets cut off and their claws get cut off. And so they experience incredible suffering. And they imagine just sitting there, just not being able to move and just there to lay eggs. And for some people as well, these animals, what do? They feed a pipe into them and they feed them all sorts of things so that they can be fatter or that they are worth more. So maybe steroids and antibiotics and all sorts of different things go into the food. And you hear these stories as well. In some countries as well, they take the bear and the bear is still alive and they cut something into its bladder or its kidney or its liver, and then while it's still stuck in this cage, it can't really move, with great pain, with something stuck in its liver, and the liver pours out into a tube so that people can eat that. Imagine the suffering of this. Nearby us, there's a dog, and it cries, ho, 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 ho. Why? Because it is locked up all day. It has no movement. It gets no attention. This poor animal. Now you think, for these things to happen, what cause and effect did they generate, or did they commit or accumulate in their past life, that they come to this life and live a life of such unhappiness? Even fish as well. You go to these fish markets and the fish are still alive. What do? Somebody pulls the fish out, smashes its head against a rock or against the floor, and when it comes around, it's already been gutted. Imagine you come around, you've been hit in the head, and you wake up and all your intestines have been ripped out. I think our heart would explode in greatest of sadness. What are these humans doing? Why is there so much suffering? So there's really a lot of suffering. We think there isn't so much suffering in this world. There is incredible suffering. Think of how many animals are slaughtered every day, never mind people's mental sufferings. There's so much suffering. And the wild animals, we think that they're living very well. However, they also live in fear. They are going to be killed by predators. The little ones eat the big ones. The big ones, even the greatest predator, its predator might be humans and be killed by humans. And so even the predators are hunted. And why does this come about? It comes about because of their ignorance. Once you are born as an animal for that whole life, you will be an animal until the day you die. And as being as an animal, you don't have that wisdom to be able to generate positive causes for your future life. So your next life might be difficult again. For instance, if you have a dog, and it might be a very clever dog that you have at home, and no matter how much Dharma you try and teach your dog, how much is it going to be able to learn? When you recite and practice the Dharma and dedicate it on behalf of your dog, maybe it'll help for its future lives. But the dog itself isn't able to or doesn't have the wisdom to practice and to transform itself. Unless it's a really, really, really special dog. But let's say 99% of the animals at least are going to be like this. Now take for instance our dog again. What does it do? It lies around, sleeps during the day, maybe it chases after its fellow friend dogs and chase each other, bite each other's tails, nip at each other, chase after their own tail. Maybe every now and then they get upset with each other, have a little growl or a little snap, and then they enjoy their food. And apart from this, what other plans are they making? What are they doing with respect to transforming themselves, with respect to cause and effect and wisdom? Not really. They don't have any of these aspirations, and they don't really have the wisdom for these aspirations. So they don't have that possibility to create positive causes. So then again, we can really rejoice in the fact that we are born as humans, that we are not born in the animal realm. As much as sometimes we think it might be really nice, it's better to be born as a human, especially in terms of practicing the Dharma. Use this life meaningfully. Let this really enter into your mind stream and practice. Use your life meaningfully. Cherish it. And have gratitude in your life. And then the fourth point is not being born as long-lived gods. Now, what is it with long-lived gods? We would think, I would really love to be a god. It sounds like it would be really great. They have superior physical form to us. They have a lot of enjoyments. However, this is not the ideal state to be able to practice the Dharma. As a human is the ideal state to practice the Dharma. With some of the long-lived gods, what they have is a state of mind that they don't have any movement of thoughts. And not having any movement of thoughts leaves us with nothing to liberate. Part of our practice is liberating arising thoughts. With them, they're in a state of blankness, and it's a mental blankness, and they can stay like this for kalpas. That's an incredibly long time. However, it is also cause and effect based, and eventually that will wear off, the karma will wear off, or they might have the wrong views of the Dharma, and they might sink into the lower realms. So really, we don't want to be born as long-lived gods either. We want to be born in the realm of the humans. And so again, rejoice in this fact that you are not born as a long-lived god, that you are born as a human. And this is the ideal state or realm to practice the Dharma in.